This is a box, a really tall box, like it doesn't even fit. It almost touches my top shelf right here. But inside this box is 2 motherboard bundles that I bought off of Goodwill of all places for 90 bucks. And we're gonna see if any of them work because they were all listed as untested. And we all know how it is whenever you buy untested stuff online. It usually means that it doesn't work, but I wanted to take the gamble. So without further ado, let's go ahead and unbox this and let's see what we got and if any of it works. So inside this box are 2 motherboards I got off of Goodwill's online site for about $90 after shipping and tax. Normally this stuff on Goodwill's site, whether it be a buy it now or auction, the items tend to go for close to eBay pricing, and they don't ever test any of their stuff, so most of the time it's just not worth the gamble. However, when I saw these 2 bundles up for sale, I figured I'd buy them and test my luck. Opening a box, I see that there is a ton of bubble wrap in here, which is good to see, as from my experience, Goodwill likes to use mostly packing peanuts for their shipments. After taking both the motherboard bundles out of the box and unwrapping the larger of the 2 items, we can see that this board actually comes with its original box, which is a nice bonus. It's sadly missing the I/O shield though. This bundle was advertised as having a Celeron G5920 CPU, an Asus Prime B460 motherboard, and 4 gigs of DDR4 RAM. This bundle costed me $21 on its own. The motherboard is in pretty decent shape, but it's pretty dusty and could use a bit of cleaning. After struggling to get the stock cooler off, which wasn't even plugged in by the way, we can see the remains of some crusty thermal paste, and beneath that crusty thermal paste is the Celeron G5920 that was advertised. The CPU isn't really useful for a gaming PC, however it could be good for testing or troubleshooting 10th and 11th gen Intel systems. If it works, that is. I decided to take out the RAM stick and see what type of RAM we got, and it's a Corsair Vengeance 4GB stick that's only running at 2400 MHz sadly. This stick really isn't worth anything nowadays, but it could be useful for upgrading an office computer or used for some type of troubleshooting. Again, if it actually works. I'll go ahead and put the stock cooler back on. I won't be adding any thermal paste as this system will only be powered on for a couple of minutes at most. I also switched the slot the RAM stick was in. I'm not sure if it will actually make a difference or not, but I decided to do it anyways. After setting up a little test rig, it's time to see if this bundle works. And sure enough it does, and it goes straight into the BIOS and detects our Celeron CPU and our RAM. Whoops, dropped the graphics card fan. This RX 580 has these amazing quick release fans, which is a great feature, and I guess I accidentally ejected one of the fans from the card. But anyways, I'm using the 580 to test the PCIe slot, as I don't want a repeat issue like in the last video. After testing it with the 580, everything seems to be good. I also went ahead and tested all 4 RAM slots, and they were all working. Considering the board goes for about $60 to $70 on eBay, getting that, the CPU, and some worthless RAM for $21 before shipping, I say that's a W deal. I'll give this Asus board a good cleaning later in the video. Next bundle was listed as having an 8th gen i5 CPU, a Z370 motherboard, and 8GB of RAM for about $50 before shipping. And upon wrapping it, I noticed that it had this strange little breakout connector that looked like it was for the front panel headers and the I/O shield, which is nice to see. It also seems to be in good cosmetic condition and is a lot cleaner than the Asus board. And for the CPU, we can see that it has an i5-8600K, which is definitely still a pretty powerful 6-core CPU. Next thing I wanted to check out was the RAM. The listing advertises having 8GB of RAM, however we actually have a 16GB kit of this cool looking T-Force red and black RAM running at 3000 MHz. This is definitely a W assuming it works, and 3000 MHz is still an acceptable speed even for more modern platforms. Once again, I set up a little testing rig to see if this bundle works. So, does it actually work? Well, it did hang on the CPU debug light for way longer than I would have liked, but it actually did post and it went straight into the BIOS. For fun, I decided to see if I could load up the XMP profile for this RAM, and sure enough, it posted successfully. There's even a little light on the board that tells you when you've enabled XMP. This is a huge W for sure. The CPU goes for about $80 on eBay, the board goes for about $60, and the RAM goes for about 25 bucks. So getting all this for $50 is absolutely crazy. And this is a rare situation where taking a gamble on untested hardware actually paid off. So now let's get to cleaning these bundles, and I'm going to start with the Asus board. Neither of these boards were super dirty, so they really just need a quick wipe down. the Gigabyte board, which is honestly pretty clean as it is, but I'm still going to give it just a quick wipe down. I'm going to try and remove this bracket for whatever cooler was on here before, and it did take me a few minutes to figure it out, but I did get it off, and man was it a heavy backplate. If anyone knows what cooler this was for, let me know in the comments down below because this thing is really thick. After cleaning both motherboards, we gotta see if I found a way to kill them during the cleaning process. First was the Gigabyte board, which thankfully survived, and same thing for the Asus board as well. I'm honestly shocked that both of these bundles worked. I really assumed that there was going to be one bundle that wasn't going to work, or neither of them were going to work, especially for how cheap these was. I mean, this was literally $21, and I think this was about like 40 bucks. So this is a great deal. Normally, I don't have this kind of luck with Goodwill, and normally I wouldn't recommend doing this unless you got some money to gamble on some used old parts. Hope you guys enjoy this video. It is possible to take a risk and have it pay out pretty well, but usually for Goodwill, it usually just doesn't happen because usually people who donate computer stuff there, it just doesn't work. So there we have it, about $90 for two motherboard, CPU, and RAM combos that were bought from Goodwill and were marked as untested, and they ended up working with no issues. This was way easier than I thought it would be, but I will say that it is very rare for it to go this well. Usually the PC parts from Goodwill that I get, about half of them end up being dead on arrival, and since they mark everything as is, no return, I can't really get a refund, and I kind of just have to sell it for a loss in most cases. But I like gambling with PC hardware, and this one definitely paid off, and it is fueling my addiction as well. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, leave a like and subscribe, and also leave a comment down below if you like the new top-down camera position that I used in this video. I think it'll help a lot with video quality, especially with PC building, so that you can actually see what's happening in the computer when I build it. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you all in the next video.